I'm tired of the gang banging, dope slanging, brothers on the corner 3 o'clock hanging, $1,000 watches, platinum chains swinging, shots from the Glock left his brains hanging. Tired of the midnight fights, the Rodney hypes, the judicious justice system just ain't right. We lived it for 1,000 years, it still ain't tight. This mindset to separate the black from white. Tired of they ride the streets, they pull you over, supposed to serve and protect, but just the older ride with a Glock at night because it's colder. Plus 2 extras in the shoulder holder. Tired of the late night hype, the evening news, seeing brothers locked in cuff and county blues, while the government's on top making moves, plotting the plan on us so we can lose. Tired of people being churchified, claim to be holy, pure and sanctified. It's not about you but the one who died, Jesus Christ, Son of God, who's glorified. And I'm out. W.W.Y.D. What would you do? W.W.Y.D. What would you do? What would you do if you were running out of breath, but you couldn't catch your breath, but you had a minute left? What would you do on a plane with a bomb? Would you try to disarm or keep everybody calm? What would you do in a church that ain't speaking the word and the truth, but everybody is cheating? What would you do if you had $1 million? Would you give to the poor? Would you just not bother? What would you do if somebody killed your mama? Would you truly forgive them or continue with the drama? What would you do if you were getting engaged and found out that your fiance had AIDS? What would you do if you got a record deal? Would you cater to the masses or keep your rap real? What would you do if you were behind the wheel, drinking and driving and somebody got killed? What would you do if your child got molested? Could you pass that test and continue to be blessed? What would you do if you didn't succeed? Would you keep on trying or just not believe? What would you do if you were seeking the truth but you couldn't find truth? Would you jump from the roof? What would you do if you were back in the days? Yes sir, yes ma'am, or somebody's slave? What would you do if you didn't get saved? You couldn't get up and couldn't rise from the grave. What would you do for the poor without food? About terrorist attacks and the guns in schools. I didn't write this poem just to vibe to the beat, but with lyrical content cause rap's so weak. What would you do if you couldn't speak? Would you learn sign language and find a way to cheat? What would you do if your man's just died? Would you keep on living and continue to thrive? Get a 9 to 5 and try to stay alive in the concrete jungle where the strong survive? What would you do if you didn't bear fruit? Would you take an axe to the tree and chop it by the roots? W.W.Y.D. is the question. What would you do in order to keep your blessings? What would you do? What would you do? What would you do? What would you do? I didn't write this poem just to vibe to the beat, but with lyrical content cause rap's so weak.